you spend a little bit more time every day thinking about how the universe is just a game, and if you start to really actually use your imagination to envision these concepts that I talk about vibration and mood swirling around you like a mist, like vibration and your attraction power and your mood, literally sending off a signal into the universe with magnetic attraction power. If you can envision that in your mind, it makes it a lot easier to be able to remember these principles when you're in a moment and a new mood comes over you. To remember that and to envision what that is actually doing to your life experience, what that is actually going to do on a metaphysical level, is really powerful when you start to actually make the direct correlation between the knowledge and the wisdom of universal laws and actually putting it into practical application by making a decision to be consciously aware of when things are happening, and also making recognition of when something has happened that has worked out really well for you, and being like, oh, I can see how that happened. I can see how me having that particular mood caused a vibration to swirl around me, which then added magnetic attraction power for those particular circumstances and events and cooperative components, people, money, cars, anything, any sort of situation or circumstance or event that happens. That all was a direct correlation between the chronic mood and attitude that I had about that subject, or just in general that I had swirling around me during that time in my life. I know for myself, when I have looked back on past relationships, past jobs, any past challenge or circumstance, I like to look back on that with review and see the patterns that were happening in me to cause the reflection that I saw on the outside of the universe. So if I was chronically meditating, like if I was meditating every day or journaling every day, I can see that my life was running a lot smoother during that time period. I make a mental note and I'm like, okay, so focusing in a way deliberately and regularly actually really changes my mood, changes my vibration, changes my attraction power, and changes what comes to me on a day-to-day basis. When you start to really actually think about this day to day, moment to moment, on a perceptual level, on a visceral level, it'll start to change everything for you. I like to spend each morning reminding myself lately that life is literally just a game, that it has these parameters and rules. But when you see children playing video games when they're younger, they don't go into the game, like in an ideal situation, obviously every kid's different, but in a healthy sort of situation, you see a child playing a game with the knowledge that they are worthy whatever happens in the game. You know, they go in there and they play the game, and ideally you don't attach your worth to how well you play the game. All you do is you go into the game with the intention to have fun and to learn and to grow and to come out, but always knowing that you were worthy the whole time. That is what we intended when we decided to come down here as spirits. We didn't intend to come down here to live a life experience to then dictate our worth. This isn't a test. This isn't a way to prove ourselves to the universe that we are worthy. The fact that we are a character in this universe is indicator enough that we are worthy, or else we wouldn't have been created to play the game. The whole goal of the game is to find little nuggets of joy and find more expansion and growth. And also, when you learn how to use the laws of the universe to your advantage, you can actually, it's a lot of fun getting to focus in a way that actually causes an effect. It's the same as playing a video game or playing any kind of game where you're focusing and you get an effect, and that gives you an emotion, and it gives you pleasure and joy and contentment. And that's the whole, that's what we're made up of. That's why it feels so natural when we feel that way, because our emotions are, a part of the game, right? We set up the game with our emotions as our guidance system. Our emotions are like a sixth sense that we have that tell us if we're going in the direction that's going to be creating something that we want. Whereas if we feel negative emotion or constriction or any kind of way, that means we're focusing in a way that's going to create something that we don't want. And another thing that I thought about this morning was how if you can imagine this, like a little character, a little person in this white world, right? Like it's just like the Matrix basically. There's just this white everywhere and this little person. Every mood and attitude and belief that that person puts over them like a dome literally creates the universe that they see. Just like when you see me day to day, one day I might be happy, one day I might be sad. Each person that you encounter with me, depending on the mood and attitude and everything, is a completely different person to the last person you encountered, based on how I hold myself and how I feel and how it feels to be around me, right? Like that's completely different day to day. There's going to be similarities, but I mean, if there's any difference, then it's completely different, right? Because they're not identical. So the same thing is with your mood and any combination of mood or attitude that you have going on at the moment. If you have a combination of, say, love, joy, and appreciation, then that's the kind of world that sits over that person in that universe, right? But if they decide to have like grief and sadness and despair, then that's the kind of world that they'll have sort of surrounding them. So it's the same sort of thing. Like with me, I look the same, but it's different. So it's the same with these worlds, based on the mood that you have around you, that it can look similar, but it feels different and it seems different and it is different because of how you feel and how you're perceiving it. So by remembering this, every time that you put a mood over you, imagine the universe shifting slightly. It'll feel different. Certain things that light you up will actually stand out to you better when you're in good moods, and when you're in bad moods, it seems like the only things that stand out are all the bad things, right? And it's exactly the same in reality as it is in what I'm talking about. Like that is how it works. That's how reality works. And I'm sure all of you can resonate with that when I say that, life somebody can be looking at the exact same scenery. And I've done this myself, where I've gone to sunrise one morning, seen something, and then the next day I go to the same spot in a different mood. And it looks entirely different to me because I'm not feeling certain things that I was feeling before. When you start to drop into this, when you can actually visualize and conceptualize what I'm talking about, it does make it easier to remember in the moment how to use these tools so that you can play the game better, so that you can get more out of it, so that you can have more relationships and experiences and houses and cars and people and like nature and business and money and all kinds of things that we get to collect and be a part of down here. The way to get more of that and to live a life that's the best, that's like just so exciting and happy, is by learning about these laws of the universe, is by learning and visualizing and conceptualizing how to use these tools to your advantage. And that's why I loved learning about it, because it also helped me drop away a lot of storytelling and identity that I didn't want in my life anymore. I didn't want to have, because you can change your character as you go along. You can change who you are. Just because you've been a certain way your whole life doesn't mean that has to define you for the rest of your life. You can choose differently. And that's why I loved learning about all of this, and I obsessed over it for about 5 years, like these last 5 years, because I have gotten so much relief and joy out of it, and a deeper understanding of just how powerful I am and how worthy I am, and how there are certain things that in my life that were controlling me, but now that I have remembered the rules of the game and I know how to use them to my advantage, and I know how loved and valuable and worthy and abundant I am and powerful I am, and how much I can attract to me just through the power of my thought. By knowing all of this, it has increased my level of peace by 1,000-fold. We are either happy or we're sad in this very moment, and we have the ability and support from the non-physical realm to be able to choose to be in heaven here on earth as much as we want. And by knowing that everything is going to be okay, and knowing that this is just a simulation essentially, that for our pleasure that we created before we got here, knowing all of that and remembering that consistently, it really has taken the edge off the seriousness of life, and especially because my nan has recently made her transition back into non-physical, which is another way of saying that she's passed on. Since that has happened, remembering the rules of the game has been extremely beneficial for me, because I remember, I'm like, oh yeah, Nan's not gone, she's not dead, we don't die, we're eternal, we are eternal, and I'm going to see her when I'm finished with my game, and she's waiting for me to finish my game, and then we're going to be up in heaven, or up in non-physical, where everything's just perfect, again, together for a time. And then once everyone that I know is finished their game, then we'll start another game, we'll go jump into another game, and there's just, we're all together in this together, and it's all just one beautiful orchestration of drama and fun, and there is sadness and stuff. But I think that because we are eternal and we are spirit beings and eternal, like, I don't even think we can comprehend how long that is when we are so mortal and on earth at the moment. But when we get back to spirit, we'll realize that this was literally a speck of dust in comparison to the entirety of the universe and how long we're going to be playing these games for. Like, when you realize that, you can see how trivial small things that happen down here are, especially things that that you shouldn't be beating yourself up about. When you can remember the bigness of this world and the bigness of you and how eternal you are, then it makes it all so much easier to handle, right? Like, it's like, oh, I don't need to take this so seriously, it's gonna be okay. Like, it's literally all okay.